Andy.
Hey.
Just want to ask about Vinny and his status going into tomorrow, where you guys are at with that.
Yep, we're gonna. We were hoping to get a live BP in with him today, but we're not going to be able to do that. So we're going to simulate it the best we can, not off live pitching, but in the cage, machine, arm, and we're going to see how he comes out of that in the morning before we make our decision.
Everything's still trending the right way, though, for that? I mean, I know, given all the steps that he's taken, especially the last week.
Yeah, yesterday was a good. He didn't do anything yesterday. It was a recovery day. He'd been pushing it pretty hard since the surgery, so everything was fine as far like he didn't do anything to test it yesterday. So came out of the live BP on Saturday really well. So we were encouraged by that, but this will be another big day to test it.
Jalen.
Thank you. We talked a lot about you guys making a playoff and getting here, but one thing I wanted to know about is just seeing some of your own staff, the Brian Sweeneys, the Alan Zumwalls, just celebrating this moment with them. What does that kind of mean to you, knowing to see their growth from last year to this year?
Well, I couldn't feel better for everybody in the organization, regardless of the position they're in. We know what an enormous operation this is through the off season, spring training, all the way through the year. Everybody contributes, and if anyone doesn't do their part, we're not in the spot we're in. So specifically the coaching staff, the way they pour every ounce of effort they have, the sacrifices they make, their families make, I feel tremendously happy for all of those guys. And it's something that, a lot of people go their whole career and never get to a postseason, and to not take that for granted and to have a great deal of gratitude for that. I know these guys do, and it's a pleasure to work with them.
We had one over here. Yep.
Matt, your team went through some rough patches at some point in the last month or so. How do you guys right the ship from that, and what can maybe benefit from those struggles now?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, I think about it. There's very rarely a team that goes through a season without some sort of a rough patch. But whether that's 2 games, 4 games, 7 games, whatever your losing streaks are, these guys in this clubhouse are so resilient. They bounce back. They really do the best job I've ever seen of turning the page from one day to the next. Even in that streak, we lost a lot of close games that were heartbreaking. They come back the next day with the same effort, the same energy, the same intensity. And that's what I think is really special about this group, is the resiliency, the day-to-day fortitude that they show.
Cool. Jake. We'll come back in.
What did you learn from watching Kevin Cash and Terry Francona manage in the postseason?
I mean, there's so many things I learned from those guys, but it's not just postseason. It's being into every single pitch of every single game, giving your team the best opportunity to succeed, understanding that it's okay to feel nervous. It's okay to embrace the fact that it's something new in some cases for guys. But just being positive, being themselves. They didn't change their demeanor, whether it was April 1st or October 31st. It's the same game. It's the same actions. Now, you might make different, there are several, the year 2016, the bullpen was such an enormous part of that. 2020 was a completely different year. So there's things that you pick up here and there, but more so than anything, it's the consistency of attitude, the consistency of effort, how they communicate with the players.
Did you hear from either of them after clinching?
Yeah, definitely, both of them.
Cool.
How would you describe Salvi Perez's contributions to this team, and does it matter that the rest of your team does not have playoff experience, and can he help, or in what ways can he help given his past experience in this part of the year?
Well, to your first point, his contributions are enormous. I mean, day in and day out, from whether it's the off season included. I mean, he is never taking a minute to not think about how he can help the organization, the team, the city. He's larger than life in every aspect of his persona, but it's all genuine. Now, I would push back a little bit. We have a lot of guys in that room with postseason experience, and that was a main goal of ours in the offseason, was to acquire the Wakas and the Renfros and on. There's plenty of other guys that I know I'll miss names going through this, but people that have been there and done that so that they can provide real life examples, and even in season pickups with the Gurriels and Grossmans and Phams and those kinds of guys. to go along with the young talent we have is a really good blend.
Cool. Right back here.
Matt, you guys haven't faced the Orioles since April. Does that make your scouting of them a little more difficult?
I don't think any more difficult than normal. I mean, we may not have played them, but it's not like you don't follow what's going on. And, they were just playing the Twins. So, we've been watching it. We know who was possibly on the agenda here coming up. So we've had people watching them. Our guys do an unbelievable job of leaving no stone unturned. So, it'll be a little more of a rush. Clearly, we didn't know where we were going until whatever time yesterday. So, that's a lot, but that's how the postseason is. You have to prepare for two teams at all times until you get to the World Series. And so it is a ton of work, and it's a lot of heavy lifting for the guys. But really, at the end of the day, we don't want to do anything different than we would have done in how we prepare the players at any other point in the season, because we need to treat these games like they are the same.
When you look at the Orioles scouting report, what are the names that jump out to you, and what do they do that make them so difficult to match?
Well, start with the guy pitching tomorrow. One of the elite pitchers in the game for a number of years. Power stuff. He's going to be an extremely tough matchup for whoever's in the lineup. And that's the hallmark of any good team. I believe that's why we're here, is our pitching. They're super athletic up and down the lineup. They can provide a ton of matchup problems for righties and lefties, which is a thing, we're comfortable with a lot of our guys being neutral split guys, especially out of the pen. So that hopefully is a benefit to us, but they have the same thing in their pen. So I think it's a really unique series with a couple of the young superstars of the game. Some really good veteran players as well, guys that have been there. I mean, they've had guys that have had remarkable careers over the last several years, and being in the AL East for as long as I was and seeing the development of the Santanders and those kinds of guys, it's fun for the game. It's fun for me as a fan of the game, and you want to match up with this kind of team because it's good baseball.
We'll go here and then.
One of the things that's changed over the past 10 years or so, and just what we've had a front row seat to it, is the de-emphasis of the starting pitcher in postseasons. Playing a lot of matchups, having a lot quicker hook, managing a team with the rotation and the strength. How do you go about doing that in 2024? And if these guys, pitch as well as they can, what kind of advantage is that?
I mean, I think I shouldn't speak for it. In my case, if our starting pitchers pitch the way that we've seen them pitch all year, I'll be fine letting them continue to pitch. I mean, that's the huge part of why we're here where we are. Now, I will say we've had, our bullpen, especially in this last month, has been remarkable. These guys have picked up a ton of innings. They've had great success against both side hitters. And they've built a lot of confidence. And I think that's something we knew going into this year. We were going to be relying on a lot of bullpen guys that didn't have a ton of reps, especially in high leverage in the big leagues. So as we've gotten them those reps, you've seen them respond. So I feel really good about that as well. But by no means are we going into this with only 2 times through the order or any of that kind of stuff. We know what the strengths of our team are, and we're going to try to ride that.
If there's no live outside, is Smith gonna throw? What's his status tomorrow?
We cannot get a live on the field today, so we're going to push back any of the stuff that we had planned on the field today.
Jake.
Just going back to the bullpen, Chris Bullpen had been mostly a starter until this year. He was coming off Tommy John surgery. Daniel Lynch had never made a relief appearance. Angel Serpa made his first opening day roster this year. I guess with those 3 guys in particular and the way this bullpen's currently constructed, I guess what's your perspective on the way that bullpens kind of take shape over the course of a season and how you get contributions maybe from unexpected places?
Well, I don't think you come into any one particular year knowing exactly how they're going to shake out. You might leave spring training with a plan, and it doesn't take long for that to change with injuries and performance and all those kinds of things. To your point, you always need someone to step up that wasn't necessarily penciled in. Sam Long's a perfect example of that. Lynch, I'm really proud of Lynch for a lot of reasons, but he was right in the mix to be on the opening day roster as a starter, and that was a big blow to him to not do that, and then to come up and make a couple spot starts. But we talk to these guys all the time. A lot of things in life, and especially in baseball, don't happen on our timetable. And for him to stick with it and improve and improve and improve, and when he got his opportunities up here, to be a huge part of the reason we're here is remarkable, and he should be commended for that. And a lot of guys are in that spot. I mean, we picked up Ursig at the trade deadline and just said, here, go pitch in the highest leverage in every game we can possibly use you. And he's responded incredibly well. And I think it shouldn't go without notice that some of the guys that are currently injured in Stratton and Will Smith have been a huge influence on these guys throughout the course of starting in the offseason and into spring training. They have had a huge influence on the development of a lot of these younger pitchers.
What have you noticed about Will and what they've done? What have you kind of observed them do to help these guys?
Well, their willingness to share experience is a big part of this, right? I mean, they've been through this. They've had their ups and downs year after year. I mean, it just understanding how to deal with the emotional toll it takes on you to fail or to succeed. You know, a lot of people are afraid of success at times. You don't want, like, how long can this last, right? And it's okay to ride those kinds of things out and be honest with yourself about the emotions. And I think that's a big part of what they've done.
Cool. Got two more over here and then Annie.
He's cleared tomorrow. Are you looking at Pasquantino to come back and play first base, or is it more of a DH, just looking for him to swing the bat?
Yeah, he will not be able to play first base if he is cleared at all.
Yep. Annie.
Looking back to the trade that made Cole a Royal last year, what stands out about the way that you guys went about that process to get him? And did you expect him to kind of take off like he did?
Well, I think to rewind from the trade, it goes to the signing of Chapman in the offseason, and Rene Francisco was a huge part of that. You know, he got to know him. He knew other people, did a ton of homework on him. We went and watched him throw. We went and watched him, met him at his house, talked to him, all those kinds of things. So that's a perfect example of all the pieces needing to come together in just the acquisition of someone like Chapman. And then the trade, you know, I'm sure I don't know all the details of how that went down, but I know Gene Watson was a big part of it. You know, JJ utilizes the whole pro scouting department and amateur scouting, all those things. You got to know the Rangers system. You got to know who you want, and you got to, you know, trading takes two, right? So the acquisition of Cole is one thing. Now, we did think he had a really high ceiling. Clearly, you can't bank on him all of a sudden coming to be the American League Pitcher of the Month last August. And, you know, to Cole's credit, he attacked the offseason and spring training like he was trying to make the team, not be the opening day starter. So he took nothing for granted, which I think speaks volumes about his character and his personality, the way he approaches every day.
Cool. All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right.